Hello guys, I have really missed you guys, especially since I haven't been on very consistently throughout the last few months, and I am very, very sorry for that, but I am here now, and I want to switch it up a bit and tell you guys a little personal story. So this story comes from, I've been talking to a few friends, and we've just been talking about how kids rather, are getting to learn about sex very, very much earlier on right now, especially in this day and age with the technology and the kind of information they have and the kind of exposure they have to, everything. The information is basically out there for them to just fish out. So I want to talk about something I have never talked about on my website or on here. And it's about how I lost my virginity. But before I get to that, I just want to say I love you guys, and I want to know, how have you guys been? As for me, I'm just gonna catch you up a little bit on how I have been doing. Well, if you're a listener on here, you know that I try to be very consistent in everything that I do, because I know that discipline brings a lot of yield. But anyway, 2020, it reached a point for me. 2020 just became so fucked up, and I needed to just breathe. I needed to just take time off and just deal with so many things, because so many things were coming at me at the same time, and it's just been a very, very confusing time for me, all the way from August up to now. So I've just been trying to deal with my emotions, deal with everything that's happening around me, and that is going I can't say I'm 100% back on track, but I'm just happy with where I'm at right now, especially with myself, and I'm trying to get there. So right now I was cleaning my room, and then I went to take a dump. And the whole time, sorry, that's TMI, but the whole time I was listening to the Legally Clueless podcast by Adele Onyango. And I'd missed this story. I think it's the 1999 story, or the 90, yeah, where there's a story about Miriam, and she talks about her family being extremely abusive emotionally and physically, and she had to live through that, and just how she's coped with it, and how imechangia to the kind of person she has become right now. And I was listening to that episode thinking, wow, ni Miriam mama ni mina narrate your shit, because I related so much, and in listening to that, it just reminded me why I do what I do. It reminded me why I started this podcast, because every time I put something out, so many people reach out and they relate and they understand and they feel what I feel, and they're probably going through what I've gone through or what I'm going through. And it's very refreshing, first of all, kujua you're not alone. And something else is that, I don't know, it's just comforting to know, if someone else can go through exactly what I went through and come out of it, or they're able to deal with it, or they're just coping, it's very encouraging if you've been in the same situation. So I have so many stories for you guys that I want to be able to tell, but for some of them, I don't know, I'm going to find a way to... Anyway, I will tell you guys more about that. So today I don't have a guest on, because I just want to talk about myself and just what I've been going through and how I've been feeling and everything, and just to open up a bit, and maybe I can get someone who feels the same way, and maybe we can talk about how to cope. So you guys, in August, well, around August, October, I lost someone I love very much. I've mentioned this a few times on here, and they died, and I think I'm still very angry because he just died. It's not something anyone saw coming, and it's not something you when someone dies that you love, you never really think it could happen to you, and you never really think that at any point of your life, like, you'd have to go through something like that, and then it happens and your life just changes. And that's when, for me, I felt like I started withdrawing, and I wasn't able to keep the discipline anymore. And then a month after that, someone else in my family died again. That was very difficult, and it was the first time that I was going through death as an adult. Someone who's aware, and I know what's happening, and I'm very conscious, and I can see the kind of pain and impact it's caused on my family and everyone around. So it taught me that I had so many lessons to learn, and I had so much to learn from myself, and I needed to just start being very intentional and very deliberate about dealing with my emotions and trying to get out of there. So I was before that, I was actually having a very, very nice 2020. My businesses were picking up, my website was doing amazing, my podcast was doing amazing, everything I touched was turning into gold. And then I was happy, I was feeling very fulfilled. I was getting to do the things that I used to say I'll do, and I was finally bringing myself to just be responsible and to have a routine, and I was very, very happy. But then when all these things started to happen, I just nilikuwa nashanga, what's happening to me, what's all this all at the same time. It was so fucked up, man. And then at the same time, I found out about some family secrets that I will tell you guys about. That one deserves it deserves a ceremony. I will tell you guys about it and how I'm coping about it, but it has something to do with me, and finding out about my biological family that I knew nothing about. And that has been very, very crazy for me. It has taken a huge toll, and I realized that the type of person I am is that I thrive when I'm able to be myself, when I'm able to be very, very honest and completely honest with what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. And in situations that I'm unable to do that, then I cannot speak. So I've been very scared to talk about all these things on my website. I've been very scared to talk about all these things on my podcast and even on TV. And it's just, okay, who do I talk to? Where do I go? The people I feel like I need to talk to are not very forthcoming with the information I need. So I felt very, very alone. Very, very alone. And therapy is expensive, of course, and I wasn't able to take that on consistently. So I don't know, you guys, I've just been in a very, very, very dark, difficult place. But listening to Legally Clueless it was just like an epiphany of some sort. It just woke me up, it shook me up, and it was like, oh wow, Bobby, you need to get back on, and you need to be able to share your stories, and you need to be able to learn to go back to being yourself, so that you can help people out there, and you can help yourself as well by talking about all these things. So I'm sorry I took you guys on on the sad side, but as for the good things that have been happening in my life, well, I have gained a lot of love from my new family that I just found out about, and that has been such a highlight in these last few months, because I don't know, well, like I said, I will talk about that in a totally separate episode where I'm able to just open up, and maybe I can have a guest over, and yeah, it would be a bit easier for us to share on. Things have been going quite slow for me, but I think I am ready to push myself out of that depression phase. Quite frankly, I could feel myself slipping back into depression, and I think the only thing that kept me going was that I'm very self-aware. I think self-conscious. I'm very much more exposed to all these things. So when I see something coming from a mile, I'm able to say, oh, I can't fall back into that. I have to work 10 times as hard if it means that I have to remove myself from that situation. So I am very, 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 very excited to be able to share with you these new stories in 2021 so that we can talk about all these things. And so I am going to get right to the story that I came here to tell you guys today. And but I hope you guys have been doing okay. I hope you guys have been doing fine. I definitely missed you guys so much, and I can't wait to see what 2021 has in store for us. So let's get right to it. I want to tell you guys exactly when it was, but what I can say is that I was quite young. I had no business having sex at that time, and I'd be quite disappointed if, I found out my kids or my daughter, my son, was having sex that early. Okay, I wasn't really having sex, but I tried it out that time for the first time. And this conversation came up because there's a time I was talking to my brother. We were just having a walk, and I was talking to him, and we were talking about how kids these days they are really, really indulging in sex and sexual stuff, and it's crazy. When I think about the times I was growing up, and even when I was at that age, when I think about it now, and when I see how young kids are. When you grow up, you have a different sense of understanding. You have, I'd say, a better sense of, trying to understand things, and you can see things a bit more clearly than you did when you were younger. So, and it shook me. It scared the fuck out of me, especially since, with some of the organizations I work with, we have to go through this data about kids and the HIV/AIDS statistics, and, STIs and condom use and just all that and everything about sex. So I get to be in the middle of these things firsthand, and to get this kind of information, and to actually talk to these kids, and to just be on the ground, and to actually know what is happening. But I just sat down and thought about, okay, what was so different from, what I did? And the only thing that really scares me is that, because I know at that age I had zero information. I did not know what I was doing. I had no idea what was going on in my life. I think I did it because guys were doing it. I would say, not really, I wouldn't really want to call it peer pressure, but it was kind of okay, because actually how I found out about sex is, minus the little knowledge they give us in school about sijui hizo tu shule. Hata in school I don't think walikuwa wanatuambia the real stuff, so you never really got to understand what was happening, and you just knew sex was icky and yucky and something you shouldn't ever do, because if you do it, if you laugh with a boy you'll get pregnant, or if you sit next to a boy you'll get pregnant. So I feel like they weren't really as honest with us as they needed to, at least for that age, because they teach about reproduction nini around class 6, and I don't think class 6 in toto sana, but I think they didn't really. Okay, when I was in class 6, I don't feel like I got the information that I needed to get in that time. So for me, the first time I ever got to get a clear mental and visual picture of what sex was when one time I stumbled upon my parents' porn stash. I really hope my parents don't listen to these things I put out for you guys, but mini adult sasa. So I stumbled upon the porn stash, and nilikuwa zile siku za zinaitwa, not the DVDs, the other ones with tapes. I can't remember what they're called. Ni VCR ama. I think VCR. So with the tapes, so you I didn't know what the tape was about, but I put it in. It had a very suspicious name, and I watched it, and I just remembered ilikuwa two mzungus, and they were walikuwa nafanya 6ix9ine, and they were standing up. Like, the guy was holding the girl upside down, and she was sucking his dick, and he was eating her out. And I remember, like, I was trying to even tilt my head upside down to just kind of see, you know, what I could not understand. Na sikukuwa naelewa why in the world anyone would put their mouth on someone else's genitals. But look at me now. But that's beside the point. So hiyo shit ilinishock sana, na nilikuwa nashanga. You know, I was trying to understand exactly what was happening, but of course sikuelewa. So over the course of the next few months, I'd call my friends over I'm so guilty of this shit. What? Anyway, I'd call my friends over, and, you know, just to try to show them, so that we can try and understand what is this that is happening. I don't know if I ever got caught, so I stopped watching those things, but I'd say that they had a great direct impact on my view of sexuality, and just how I came to understand sex, and how I just came to be able to talk about it and everything. But yeah, so I started being quite aware of those things when I was very young. I know I'm not blaming anyone or my parents for putting their stash sijui place ningepata or whatever. It's just that, I don't know, I just think about all these kids right now and what they know and what they've seen, and so it made me want to talk about it. I said I was a bit young, was not 18 yet. One thing I keep maintaining is that I'm just lucky that the guy I did it with was someone who cared about me. Let's call him Bobby. Because his name starts with a B. You know, I had been friends with Bobby for quite a while. I had been friends with him for over 5-7 years, and him and I were very, very close with each other. I'd call him my best friend because we'd hang out all the time. We talked about everything, and, you know, everything I felt, I talked to him, and he was the sweetest boy. Let me tell you, his mom, his parents, they raised one fine boy. He was very respectful, very, very smart, very intelligent, he was just everything. He was such a very, very nice guy, such a good guy, he was amazing. And he was like, I think 1 year or 2 years older than me. He used to talk a lot, and of course, kwa hizo conversations zetu, we would have conversations about sex. I started having a crush on my best friend, and I ended up really, really liking him, and it turned out he had been in love with me for the longest time, but he was just scared of, you know, speaking out and telling me about it. He didn't want to alter the kind of relationship we had with each other. So one time we were just talking, and I remember tulikuwa tunaenda Shags. I was going to Shags with my family, and on that day my friends were like, you have to tell him, because I knew that if I didn't tell him, I was so scared that, you know, if I don't tell him and I come back and he has another girlfriend, or just scared of, unajua ukiwa young and then you have a crush on someone, hiyo feeling ya hati yako kubit ukimwona. I used to feel all those things, and I'd say I loved him, and that's because I still love him up to now for the kind of man that he is and he was. So hiyo siku ilikuwa one of the most stressful days of my life. Nilikaa tu kwa nyumba, decide, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to tell him how I feel. I'm going to tell him about how he makes me feel. And it wasn't even in a sexual way. It was just, I really genuinely cared for him, and I felt like I was in love with him. I can't explain how, but I know, you know, right now when I think about being a teenager in love, I just think it's shit. But when I was in that situation, I knew exactly what I felt, and I knew how he made me feel. So that day, he didn't live that far from my place, and I decided I was going to walk up to him and just, to go and tell him how I felt. So nikapanga mpaka nikaandika. I'm such a person who loves to prepare stuff. So I took my notebook and I wrote down everything I was gonna say. I didn't want him to interrupt me. I just wanted to go and just blurt out everything that I had in mind. So this was gonna be it. I was gonna tell Bobby how I feel. Nikagather your courage. I was so stressed, but I decided this was it. So I walked to his place and I found him outside with his friends. I was so scared. Wow, yani nilikuwa na feel too ground inimeze, ifunguke inimeze. I wanted to run away, but he'd seen me by then. So I walked to him and he gave me the biggest hug that I had ever received. Those days, even hugging was such a big deal. Yani, even hugging a guy, he hugged me and he gave me, he loved to kiss me on my cheek and on my forehead. So he kissed me on my cheek and on my forehead, and before I was even able to say what I said, I started to say, Bobby, I came here to tell you a few things, and I hope you will not get angry at me, but this is how I feel. It was like in the movies. He just told me, don't even stress about it. Let's go sit and we'll talk. So we sat somewhere and he was like, before you say anything, I have a few things to say. I know you're traveling away for a while and I wouldn't see you for a while. Yeah, I was traveling for about 2 months. And I'm going to miss you so bad. And I'm so happy you came to say bye, but there's something I need to tell you. You guys, everything I had written down, I kid you not, came out from that man's mouth. He told me that he has been in love with me and that he likes me so much and that I couldn't believe it. That was the best. It was the best feeling I have ever. Unajua venye ni crazy crush wako akona crush back. And I didn't even need to do anything. Everything I felt, he just felt. So he told me everything and he was very open and we talked about it, and at the end he asked me, will you be my girlfriend? This boy. Alinimaliza hiyo siku, to be very, very honest. I was so happy that I was even considering going to tell my parents, me, by the trip, I'm not going. I have a boyfriend now. I have to stay and love him and just be, but that was the most relieving thing that I have ever felt in my life. So we talked about it for a while, and then I had to go home because my curfew was like 7 p.m. and that time was like at 6. And he was very sweet. He walked me home. This boy, I have to find him and just hug him and just. He walked me home, and I remember that night I couldn't even sleep. We were traveling. I had packed everything was ready, but I stayed up all fucking night just thinking about him. And we were texting and telling each other all these sweet nothings, and it was such a nice feeling. Actually, I don't know. I think I miss, now that I'm talking about it, I think I miss being in love with someone who just genuinely loves me. I felt like it was so real, and that's how I still feel right now. So, the morning came and we had to travel. I couldn't even see him that morning because we left so early in the morning. And I went away. And these were the hardest 2 months of my life because I would think about him every day, all the time. And he was so diligent in always calling me. He would always call. He would always text. He would always check up on me. This guy was seriously heaven sent. So somewhere in between the 1-2 months that I was away, we started talking about sex. Of course, we used to talk about everything. And the topic about sex came about. Talk about, are you comfortable? Do you think this is something you do? And he told me he had done it before and he had a bit of knowledge and he knew what to do. And I was scared, but not about to do it with him. I was scared because what was this? What was it? I didn't even know what it was, but I felt like I wanted to do it. I felt like it was coming from me, not even him. It's not he. He didn't push me. He didn't coerce me. He didn't ask me, "Do you think it's something willing to do or something you want to do?" And I was like, I feel all this love for you. So if I feel all these things, I can just imagine how you make me feel even 10 times more. And you guys, he was so gentle about it. Yani, we started even researching about condoms, and he was just very, very careful about giving me all the information I needed, because he learned more, and I think his parents would talk to him about these things. His mom especially, like, they had made him very aware of all these things. They taught him, they talked to him about it. Nilikuwa najua hizo 2 months zikiisha nikirudi nikupigwa kuni, but I was just anyway. Fast forward to when my trip ended and I came back to Nairobi, and I came back home. The first time I saw him, I think I cried because I had missed him so much. I don't think I had ever felt love for someone the way I felt love for him, not even for my family, unfortunately. So I remember it was like on a Tuesday, and I think it was on the 20th of something, like on March, or because his birthday was on the 11th of March, so it was that week. I imagine I remember even the days. That's how special that day was to me. And Bobby, on the day that we had decided, we had even set out a date. It was gonna be his birthday week. And my birthday is on February 29th, so it was kind of a birthday thing we were doing. Our birthdays were just 11 days apart from each other, so it was like a birthday thing we were doing for each other. And it was ilikuwa na romance more, but I don't know. I feel so. I don't want to say I feel so silly telling this story, but when I think about just those, let me just say that was the most. I think there's a reason it happened then, because I don't know if I would have found anyone as respectful as him, because every other guy I've dated after that has not our Toshimboga hawajafika the level of respect and love that Bobby ever had for me. That's just honestly how I feel, because I had a very strong connection and a very strong relationship and friendship with him. Like, him and I were just we were bros. On that day he came home to get me, and we walked to his house, and we watched some TV, and he'd cooked. We played some PS, and we just hung out. And then he was like, so are you ready? My heart was beating. What? I wasn't even horny, because I don't know if I knew what being horny meant. I don't know if I knew that feeling of having sex, but I knew that I wanted to do it with him, and I wanted to be with him. And this was the first time he was ever going to see me naked. And we'd made out a few times, and even in the making out, he was very careful not to ever touch me inappropriately. He was just a patient man who was such a good friend of mine. So we went to they had a servant's quarter outside the main house, so that's where we went. And there was a bed, and he'd picked out all our favorite music, and he'd got some flowers for me. Alikuwa amechuna tu maua somewhere, and he had them right there for me. He'd got snacks. He'd got you guys, I can't even make this shit up. So we were seated on the bed. How does this start? I don't know anything. I have never done this. I don't know what goes where or how people start. What do you do? Do you just remove your clothes and start? But he was like, he held my hand and he was like, I'm going to show you. So he started to kiss me and take off my top. I was so nilikuwa so self-conscious. Nilikuwa naogopa. My boobs are out. I had a full rack. I had really, really big boobs, and I think for my age, and I was so self-conscious, my God, he's touching my breasts. It felt good, but the reason it felt good was because he made me extremely comfortable, and I could feel the love and the patience and all those good things. So he started caressing my body, and in no time I was naked, and then he took his clothes off and we were kissing and kissing and kissing. You guys, I didn't even lose my virginity to Ati missionary. Babe, I'm gonna need you to sit on my dick. And I said, what? He was like, yeah, because if you sit on it, then you're the one who has complete and utter power of speed, and you're the one who's gonna, control how far you want me to be inside you. And if you still, like, you'll be able to gauge if you're in pain and if you want to get off. And I was a bit skeptical, but I was like, okay, he looks like he knows what he's doing, so I'll follow his lead. And I had gotten wet, and his dick was really, really hard, and I got on top of him, and so he was really, really big. He was really, really big, and this was the first time I was having sex, remember? So I tried to sit on his dick. It wasn't really painful, but it was a bit uncomfortable because it's not something I had done. And I'd like nilikuwa naongeza a centimeter, like I was sitting on it a bit, up until I just heard a little pop. It was something like that, and I knew, okay, that was it. That was it. I don't like calling it losing my virginity, because I don't think we lose anything. I just think, but that was how it happened. That's how that happened. And I was so scared, I was like, okay, do I keep, going up and down like I've seen in those videos, or what do I do? And he was like, no, from then on, gonna do anything. And he was so gentle. He was like, are you in pain? Are you comfortable? He made sure I was the most comfortable I had ever been, and I was okay. And we fucked for a bit, and switched to missionary, and now he was on top, and it was all those my romantic things of looking in my eyes. I don't know if he used to read books or he used to watch movies. Because how was he doing all these right things, and we were that young? But anyway, whatever. So can't give much details after that. There was some blood on his dick, and I bled a bit, but it wasn't something too serious. I wasn't in pain. The pain was very, very mild, like nothing I couldn't handle. And he got me showered. He gave me his t-shirt. Oh my God. He got me dressed up. He made sure I was warm. Kumbuka, my curfew is still at 7. And he made sure I was home. He walked me home. He took me home. He gave me everything I needed. And the whole night, he just spent the whole night showering me with praises and compliments of how beautiful I am, and how he was just telling me all these nice things. And in my head, I was just thinking, God, this is the perfect guy. I'm so happy. I was so happy that I got to experience this with my absolute best friend. He was my absolute best friend. We went on and dated for we dated for quite a while. We only had sex once, and we didn't have sex again the whole time through our relationship, because he expressed that he feels like we need to wait and we need to be completely sure and ready. But he was such a nice, loyal boyfriend. That's the one guy I have no complaints about. I can't even say at TCG he lied. Actually, what caused our breakup was me. I fucked up. I started talking to other niggas, and he found out, and he was so broken, and he left me, and that was it. So that was how that happened to me. And that was, when I look back, I've said this over and over again, but I'm just grateful that I got to experience such a big, to me it was such a milestone, because I used to read those Shout magazines, and they'd write about virginity and about boys and all those things. And when I'd hear these stories, I'd hear stories of, actually later on, when I talk to my friends now, when I grew up and I talk to my friends about their virginity stories, most of them didn't have really, really nice stories to tell. They were just like, it was nothing, it was just a kawa thing, or that guy, he disrespect. They never really had nice stories or good experiences. And that's the one sexual encounter in my life that I'm able to say confidently that I have never felt safer. I have never felt that safe ever, 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 ever. So I'm sure you guys have questions about Bobby. And of course I met Bobby again years later. By the way, after he broke up with me, he moved schools. They moved from, he was my neighbor, they moved from the area we stayed. He changed his phone number. He just ghosted, like alipotea kabisa. The next time I saw him was I think on Instagram or something, and then we linked up, and then we started talking again, and I think we started having sex again then. But that was now when, like, we were grown up and very aware. And that's just a relationship I have always thought as very, very special to me. And I don't talk to Bobby as much. Actually, I'm gonna call him immediately I'm done recording this, because I tried to reach out a few times. It's just that I've just been all over, and I haven't really been able to give him the kind of attention he needs. But he's been very, very nice to me all throughout the years. He still considers me a very close friend, a very good friend of his, and he expresses his love all the time. And yeah, I feel like I need to call him up and give him the reassurance, because this story has made me realize just what kind of gem I had in my life. And Bobby, if you listen to this, just know I love you. I love you so much. I love you. I care about you. I miss you. And yeah, I'm very, very grateful for you for just being able in my life. And I'm grateful that I got to share that with you. So guys, I think that's the end of my story. I don't know if you guys have any more stories that you'd like to ask about this experience, about this story specifically, or about anything I've said on this episode today. But I just think it's something that I wanted to share, and it's just something random I just thought about, and I thought I'd talk about it. But I'd love to hear from you guys. So if you have any questions, or you want to say something about the Love and Orgasms show, please don't forget to use the hashtag, the Love and Orgasms show, so I can be able to see it, especially on Twitter, on IG. And I just wanted to say to you guys that I'm so grateful for you guys for being so patient with me, for being so loving, for showing me the love, even when I was down and out, even when I felt like I couldn't come up and go on. You guys have consistently been pushing me and been encouraging me, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And I'm going to try and get back to being extremely consistent with my with the content I put out. And yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye bye.